WNTN Radio Boston, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my show Italieco. This is Boston's hub for international radio. And today my guest is a mom and occupational therapist who started to write children's stories. Her name is Lisa Musall. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. So what is your background in becoming an author?
I was working in a third grade classroom, and the student was supposed to be making his own book. He kept just scribbling the pictures, and it got really frustrating. I finally said, "You know what? I'm going to write a book." And that night, when I was headed down the road, the leaves started popping up, and I came up with my first line. I saw leaves dancing in the street last night, and from there, I just worked at creating the story. So, working at school.
Got you. And how do you develop your stories?
Um, I developed my stories from observation and imagination and thinking about that one in particular. I saw leaves last night, thinking about what happens with different movements. And I broke it down to a smaller number of ideas. Other stories, the other stories have come from experience at my job or with my son. Road Trip is from a trip to Canada's Wonderland, Lion Safari, where he was full of it. He didn't like anything about the trip until he got to the water.
Right. And so why is it so important to you to tell story with special needs?
Oh, it's so important because these kids, they can do, and so often they're not. And to be able to know different ways to help them to meet their needs and be able to participate in fun things like going on the train ride or sitting in the classroom and being able to learn is really important to me.
Absolutely. And do you have a goal in mind with each story?
To get the ideas out there, but not really. It's somewhat entertainment, but learning for others. That's my goal. It's just to learn about what kids go through.
And what do you think is most important for children to learn from your stories?
If they can do it, they can sit in the classroom and, with special help, or they can make it through a noisy environment with some coaxing and coaching. That there's ways to do it.
Thank you, Lisa. And your first book was I Saw Leaves Last Night. What do you want children to learn from this one?
I want them to learn to use their imagination and observation skills, be able to look at the world and see how things happen, how they interact. Just seeing a leaf fall down and think, oh, wow, it's floating. Oh, it should float down, and make that combination of thought.
Right. And your second book was called A Walk in the Woods. What inspired this story?
Actual walks that I had taken myself and with my son up into the woods, and all the different things that I've seen along the way, such as the Momma deer feeding her fawn, and being able to show Evan these exciting things that are out there, playing in the water and finding crayfish, salamanders. It's just an adventure in the woods.
Nice. And where did the idea of I've got to move come from?
As an occupational therapist, I treat my kids in the gym every single morning to help them get ready for their day. So I wrote the story in relation to what they do every day when they come to school and start out their day. And that one I wrote about a boy who was frustrated and getting in trouble all the time at school, and helping him to learn about those kind of movements and how they can help him to settle down. I've had lots of kids go through that.
Thank you, Lisa. And your fourth book, Road Trip, looks like it was a family trip. Why was this story so important to tell?
Because every time it really goes along with the trip for the grandparents arriving to the home and getting in and being all excited about going. But as in most kids, are we there yet? And everybody working on it, keep them happy and distracted, because people was about 5 or 6. And once we got there, everything we went on to, from the bus to the train, I hate this. And then all of a sudden, once we got him distracted and seeing the animals, he became excited and watched and was happy. But you could just feel the negative of the other people. And I want people to know, when you see something like this, don't be mean about it. Let's try to be supportive of the family, give them their space, but don't sneer at them. Don't be negative, because that child is fighting for his life right now as far as how he feels inside. And to be able to be coaxed and be able to make it through those kind of activities is success. And once they have that success, they start seeing it more and more clearly in their life.
And now, are you ready to write another story?
I've got some ideas. I'm thinking about daydreaming. I was notorious for daydreaming at school. That's one thought I had, because the ADHD, that lack of attention and sustaining it, is a tough one for some girls, and it's neglected a lot.
Thank you. And where can we find your books?
Writers Republic bookstore online, so www.writersrepublic.com/bookstore. Also Barnes & Noble online and Amazon.com. And hopefully the hard copies will be within stores soon. Got my fingers crossed.
Okay, so we thank you, Writers Republic. Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.